you don't need to see that. But anyways, well, good evening to you from Fuji Speedway, and we're here at the well, it's a very nice track here in Shizuoka. We're just gonna highlight the fact that we'd like to welcome you all to the Riding on Dream 600 at Fuji Speedway, round one of the wait for it, Holo Proto World, Japan, and International seasons. This will be the season opener for all three of the series. The World part takes precedence over the Japan and International. We'll explain to that in a bit. So anyways, welcome everyone to Fuji Speedway, now at the foothills of, well, Mount Fuji, of course, for a track that's length at 4.5 kilometers, 16 corners in total. Well, we got some very interesting corner setups here, especially looking into the exit of, turn 16, which leads up to the 1.5 kilometer long straight into turn 1, which is a very tight corner, so overtakes are definitely possible. And then you can carry on your racing maneuvers into Coca-Cola corner and 100R, turns 3, and then 4 and 5, which after that you followed up with a hairpin. And then another overtaking options can be found in the Dunlop chicane, when you pass the Dunlop billboard, and then you can go side by side at the chicane. And we got next at the final corner on sector 3 before the 1.5 kilometer long straight. But of course, that is probably just a side information here. But today we'll be racing the qualifier races for the main events that will be coming up next Friday and Saturday. For this race distance, it will be 27 kilometers for total, or let's say 6 laps. Or what's that? 20? Yeah, around 25, 26 kilometers. And then we're looking at, how do we say this? Oh yeah, so basically we'll be starting off with splits A, B, C, and D. Actually, we'll be starting with split A for this format. So, how it works here for today is that we will be having all 4 splits do qualifying and qualification races. It will be a 7-minute qualifying session first, and then the 6-minute qualifying race. The qualifying race grid will be decided by the 7-minute qualifying session, and the grid for the main race will be set by the 6-lap qualifying races. So let's introduce ourselves to our entrants for the for basically the 4 races that we'll be hosting later this week, and also for the qualification races that we'll be hosting tonight. So for split A, Muhammad Cashew will be representing Tsunamaki Watami, Alcantara for Necromata Okayu. Javier Lusby has won a race last year for Vestia Zeta. And Guyana for Soda Pecora will also be lining up the scene as well. Takeda Dati for Ninamai and Nanis. Persona Rio for Ayame, who have actually won here in Fuji last few weeks ago in Formula Hala, Japan. Raymond Rosales for Shiranui Flair, ready to win here after multiple tries. Win number 1 has still eluded the combination. Samiyaki had just won at Fuji Speedway in the ARO's most recent race at Fuji Speedway, ending a nearly 4-year-long drought for Shogun Fuji to win a Hala GT3 race. Tawan Bumin for Fuwa Bisgard, ready to shake things up alongside Hanari Miyuki for Koba Kanairu. Maverick Ducien for Malpoka and Great Prop for Bisgard makes it 12 out of 16. Joshua Sahi and Jace Kensai will be repping the colors of Holux, representing Hakui Koyori and Takani Louis. And then you got Yukihara Toka for Yukana Lobby and Raji Kazinski for Yutsuki Choko, rounding up the split A field. Now, that is a very awkward intro done and dusted. And anyways, we'd like to welcome our 2 commentators for tonight. The Shiro Botan driver, Kaminari Reba, and Shirogane Noel driver, Lexi Bowen. Anyways, welcome you two to the booth here in Fuji Speedway.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us. It's great to be here for the start of a brand new season of Holotype World Japan and International. It's going to be fantastic.
Well, nice to hear. I just want to let everyone know as well, due to a certain Holo indie game that has just made its debut, we are no longer going out. We are no longer going as Holotype, but we are now going as Holo Proto. Just a bit of an additional information. So now we have our cars out on the track, and our first car out will be Takeda Dachi. And just an additional information to the viewers watching, the cars today will be running the jacket version of the livery. This is, in reference to how in 2025, the Hololive members essentially perform in the jacket versions of the colorized idol outfits as part of the opening act. So here we see Takeda Adachi using a kind of a different front end, but it's still the recognizable cars that we are seeing here. So anyways, what are your expectations coming into this qualification races?
We could expect to see some very feisty action out there on track, of course. This does decide the grid for your main races coming up next week and the following week for split A, B, C and D. Split A, of course, the split we're seeing now. So it could be very feisty given that we only have 6 laps, but anything could really play out here. It's hard to really gauge the form guide going into a brand new season.
Well, speaking of form...
I'm honestly expecting some very tight action, as of this race will have some very high stakes, given that, as I mentioned, there's the price, how do you say, the risk, and the reward as well, of these points being spread out, not spread out, but being used in more than this championship.
Yep, exactly. Let's say if you're a JP class entrant, you will definitely be earning points towards not just the world standings, but also the Japan standings. And as a JP class driver, you're gonna need to absolutely go at it because you have both championships that offer CO series qualification. Of course, for international, there's only the world, but there's still the general international championship to also go for. So, as we're about to see Mohamed Kachi about to start his lap here in Fuji Speedway, TV, can you take us to a lap here in Fuji?
Absolutely. So, we're coming up through the final sections of the track now, through nets and into Panasonic. So around the final corner, and it is a long run down the main straight towards the pit lane that you'll see with the entry on the right hand side and up past the grandstand through this massive straight into the first corner. Across the line now to start the lap, Mohamed Kashu down into turn 1. Very difficult to see with the nighttime conditions, but gets the braking point pretty well right. It's a little bit wider of the apex and doesn't use all the track on the outside, but still gets a decent amount of momentum through. Now into Coca-Cola curb, a bit of a deceptive cornering. Take a lot of speed in. The curb on the outside can be quite tricky to deal with, especially when you're fighting side by side. Now the long 100R, you just keep turning and turning right through now into the hairpin, very tight. You would expect to see a lot of overtaking happen through that complex of corners there. Now we have a little bit of a break now through 7, 8, 9 at 300R, and then into the very tight Dunlop chicane here. Get really slow on the speed. The prototypes can struggle a little bit through this complex of corners, but Kashu does pretty well and is about 3/10 up on the representative time at the moment, with 2 times on the board with Adachi and Asahi. Through into nets once more and up to the final corner at Panasonic, and we'll have to wait and see what Kashu can do here in the Tsunamaki Watami car. Coming up through now, and we'll wait a very long time. Got many times on the board already. Ake Adachi, Asahi Toka, and Rosales, and Kashu goes right to the top with 32 flat 8-9.
Oh, and look at this, look at this. Rajik Sisi also joins in with 132, 124. All these drivers are basically going for a single lap run here. Of course, with these conditions in Fuji Speedway at night, basically the ambient temperatures and track temps get very low, and you know, it's going to be very tricky to warm up the tires as we now see more drivers go up the standings. Kawan Bumi with a 131.860. Great lap from him. Obviously, we're not going to be seeing the Ligiers for the next 2 splits, but we are seeing some decent lap times already. Looking at Bumi, he's only about 2/10 faster. Oh, actually scratched that. Danilo Goyena, where did he come from? 131.472 for Usada Pecora. Absolutely trying to kick the season off with a flying start with the fastest time in this qualification session for Split A. And just wanted to check here. Hoshizana Rio will now also join Goyena up on top as we're seeing more and more drivers finishing up their times. Jace Kinsai is about to cross the line. Let's see where he goes. Alton and Tanara also trying to join in as well. And looking into where they end up, it's going to be Kinsai in 14th as Tanara qualifies a solid 4th place. Reba, what do you think?
Well, I mean, since the qualification is almost over, given only a few, possibly it seems nobody will do a second lap, I believe that we can just expect this to be the ending of the final standings, and we should just, I don't know,
Chill.
get something to drink, chill, get something to drink.
All right.
So we can stay hydrated during the race.
Oh yeah, exactly. Looking at how the drivers are basically done with their one-lap stints, Daniel Goyena is looking to be the pole sitter. Not really the actual pole, but he will start first in the qualification race coming up soon. Hoshizana Rio will be joining him in second. Looking into some showings here, Mama Cashew is actually keeping up his strong form from the 2025 season. He will be starting 5th. What do you think?
Like it could be a very, very decent position to start, and you'd expect there to be quite a bit that will happen into turn 1 here with 16 cars all vying for the same amount of track, but the pace is certainly there, although yeah, Goyena with a very open advantage at the moment are very much
Toss-up.
fair bit ahead of the field.
Yep, exactly. So we're just gonna go for a slight intermission, knowing that we have already finished our qualification sections, and all the drivers are coming into the pit lane in preparation of the main races coming up. So we have our confirmation here. Daniel Goyena will be starting first in the qualification race. So again, qualification. Congratulations to the Usada Pecora driver who will be starting on pole position for the Split A qualification race for the Riding on Dream 600 at Fuji Speedway. So we have Daniel Goyena on pole position for Usada Pecora, and then alongside him will be Hoshizana Rio for Nakiri Ayame. Tawan Bomi is the highest EN class car for Fuawa Bisgard. And alongside Bumin will be Alton Tanara in car number 5 Okayu. Had a strong showing last week at Fuji Speedway in race 2 in Hololive GT3. Mama Cashew ready to convert his momentum from the last season in the World Suyo and to an extent the JP Suyo as well into a 5th place here. But he will be joined by Raija Kaczynski, who obviously just was not there in last season's Suyo, as he only was good enough for the Zako for most of the part. But he will start 6th. And then you got Maverick DuCM starting in 7th place for Maripolka with Sami Ake, the JP CEO champion from last year, starting in 8th. Takeda Adachi starting 9th for Ninamai Inanis, and then alongside him will be Joshua Sahi for Hakui Koyori. And then down from 11 to 16, it's Mokoko Bisgar and Great Power on 11th place. Hanari Miyuki will start 12th for Kobo Kanaeru, with 13th place going to Javier Lusby, our most experienced driver on the grid and also the oldest, confirmed, given that he's at least 43 years old now. And then we also have Jace Kinsai for Takani Lowy starting in 14th. Yukihara Toka 15th for Yukihara Lamy, and then last on the grid will be Ray Mark Rosales for Shirinu Flair. For the drivers on the back, they'll have their work cut out.
Certainly will be a tricky time for the drivers starting right at the back of the field. You've only got 6 laps to progress your way up, so I think for them will be more a case of damage limitation and looking more towards the main races in the coming weeks.
Yeah, exactly. And Noche, what do you think about the driver starting at the front?
Given just the sheer pace that they showed in the only lap that they raced, and even while returning to the pits, they still managed to. They just kept, pushing a bit, to test the track still. I think that the standings may not change much unless somebody does a mistake. Somebody brakes too late or messes in some way. I believe that is the only chance that anybody will get, because the first 2 drivers are going way more, as Lexi said. As Lexi said, they are just on another level today.
All right, so we got 16 cars lined up for the 6-lap qualifying race. Air temperatures at 13 degrees Celsius, so expect some cooling issues that may come soon. But we're going to be expecting an entertaining race nonetheless, as we're about to get the lights properly on and are running here in Fuji Speedway. We got Daniel Goyen on pole position for the start of Split Aces qualification race for the Riding on 3600 at Fuji, and we are off here for the 6 laps. Let's see here. Daniel Goyena has a pretty decent start. Hoshizuna Rio is about to try to make it a challenge for Goyena in the turn 1, but watch out though for Tawa Boomin, who's about to absolutely challenge though Daniel Goyena, who has been shuffled off around the outside. Hoshizuna Rio has taken the lead. All the drivers have survived so far, exiting turn 1. Kaczynski is now up into 4th, and Terran drops down to 5th. And we are seeing more side-by-side action here. Kaczynski tries to defend around the outside, but that's not a good run though at the curb. Exiting Coca-Cola, but it's still going to be Hoshizuna Rio leading over Goyena. Tawan Boomin in 3rd, Kaczynski in 4th, and Tanarao 5th. Sami Aki is right about to make the move onto his fellow gamers teammate for 5th place. Cashew in 7th, Adachi 8th, Duciam 9th, and Asahi rounds out the top 10.
Very, very entertaining styles. Great run there from Rio up the inside at turn 1 and managed to run Goyen out just wide enough to be able to take advantage of that. Now looking further through the field, we saw some great side-by-side battle in between Antanaro and Ake, and it seems like they've managed to settle things for them as we're looking now with Asahi there in 10th and is looking okay. No, they've settled into a decent groove now as we come towards the end of the first lap.
Well, we might be seeing some reliability issues pop up even in these sprint races like this, because you just don't know what these teams are running. You can see some drivers are already having power slides at the exit of the final corner. That just shows you the lack of grip that the drivers are actually experiencing on the track. But watch out the Ferrari Marc Rosales, who started at the back. He's about to try to make it 3 wide at the main straight. Hunter Ryuki on the left and Lusby in the center. How will the JP class driver fare as they break into turn 1? And it looks to me that Rimac Rosales has just managed to get past Miyuki as Kinsai and Toka went side by side. Kinsai will now go up into 15th place. We are now on lap 2 here in Fuji. Hoshizuna Rio is looking into a very serious favorite here to start on pole position for the Split A race this Friday. Goyena, who started on the outside line as we started this race, had to stay on the outside as Rio had a way better start on the inside line. It just shows you the difference in between the different grip level that these drivers are experiencing.
Really right now. It's a 1.6 seconds behind Rio, which is a long distance to close in such a short race. And you can see it's just not finding the levels of grip that it was able to in the qualifying session. As we look now back at Rosales, there was a great battle in the turn 1, 3 wide that we saw earlier, and they managed to get through pretty unscathed.
And speaking of great battles here, rip up, we're looking at Samiake here, who's now climbed up from 8th place to 6th. Hoshizuna Rio, meanwhile, setting the fastest lap, 1:31.544. Samiake is getting very closer to Antara. What are your odds of essentially Ake getting into the top 5, Noche?
Given the pace that he's having over Antanarao and that he's just not leaving the rear of his car, I believe that there will be an overtake. But given what I've said before, as the field not shuffling too much, it has already been dismissed, has already been proven wrong. I don't know, anything can happen.
Well, anything can still happen, no, but what is certain here, apart from death and taxes, is currently Hoshizuna Rio currently leading the field, and we have a first engine failure of the night here. Raja Kaczynski is now down into the pits with an engine failure of sorts. He will look to start at the back in race 1. Well,
they didn't even need to overtake anybody. Ake is now in 5th.
Well, Samiake is now inside the top 5 after Raja Kaczynski have an engine failure from 4th place on the grid. So right now we are seeing, this is what I mean about the cars' parts sometimes failing randomly at times, and sometimes when it happens, it's just very grueling. But you're gonna have to find something positive from this situation here. As meanwhile, we are seeing Muhammad Kashid now trying to pile on the pressure on Sami Ake this time. Let's see how it goes.
See them go side by side down the main straight here. Kashu to the inside, Ake on the outside. It's going to be difficult for Sami Ake to hold as we look on now with Adachi, and you can see Ake having to go very, very wide, has to concede that position. So as quickly as Ake was in 5th, it's now relegated back down to 6th by Muhammad Kashu.
Kashu absolutely showcasing some brilliant speed in the Tsunomaki Watame number 3 as we're about to close basically down this race here. Hoshizano Ryo can afford to essentially just back out a bit given that that number 18 car is already having a near 4-second gap over Danilo Goyena. Now Nakiri Ayame hasn't had a lot of dubs recently, especially in Holo Proto competitions, but coming into the day of stage 1, which is basically the basis for split A, Hoshizano Ryo is absolutely doing an amazing job. And speaking of which, watch out for Raymark Rosales, who's absolutely continuing to make his climb, and this time he's battling with Javier Lusby. Anyways, Ripa, we are just gonna be checking in with some information here. Rosales does have a fast car, but what are your odds of him trying to pass Lusby and Great Prower here for a spot in the top 10?
I believe it's a very plausible idea. As of right now, in this race, the time is almost up. There's just 2 laps remaining, and just the time and speed difference is not high enough for Rosales to make it all the way to 10th. Possible 11th, but I highly doubt the 10th position.
Alright, so we're just gonna have to double check here other potential battles here. Tawan Bumin is absolutely trying to stake his claim on the front row of the grid for the Split A race later this Friday. But right now, Danilo Goyena, who did start on pole, and who did start on the pole position spot as we started this qualification race, is now absolutely falling off. Obviously not enjoying the grid that he's had in qualifying. So again, there's a bit of a difference here between the drivers running the qualifying trim and race trim. I wonder what's going on in Goyena's mind right now, and then conversely, what is Bobin thinking about?
I think Goyena is just trying his best to hold on to whatever he's got. He's 5 seconds behind rear, so he's got absolutely no chance of maintaining that pole position that he got from the qualifying session. But now his thoughts just has to be on making sure that he can keep it as clean as he can going on to this final lap, while Bruin really just has to put the pedal to the metal and push as hard as possible to try and take this front row start. But Hoshizano Ryo, a 1:30.677, that is absolutely rapid pace in this race.
Yeah, exactly, and then you could just look into the amount of confidence Ryo is carrying in the Nakiri Ayame number 18. And speaking of which, I think this might be a tactical move there from Goyena. Start on pole position, try to find out if starting on the outside, starting on the racing line into turn 1 would be beneficial or not. As Raymark Rosales continues his comeback, already it's Hanari Miyuki trying to fight back against Raymark Rosales. So again, I think this might be a strategic 4D chess move for Goyena to start on the inside into turn 1 and then make the big dive and to take the lead after turn 1.
Give them a taste of their own medicine, as they say.
Well, that is possibly how it goes here, but looking into Hoshizano Ryo, the race is pretty much flawless. Well, the qualifying part isn't, but as we're about to see, Raymark Rosales and Miyuki about to go side by side into the Dunlop chicane once again, as Raymark Rosales takes back 12th place. Another taste of it, let's say Miyuki's own medicine. Hoshizano Ryo now exits the final corner. The Nakiri is absolutely piling up here amongst the Nakiri Gumi, as Hoshizano Ryo will take the win here in the Split A qualification race. He will start on pole position for the Riding on Dreams 600 at Fuji Speedway Split A race.
Absolute domination from Hoshizano Ryo. That is unbelievable. 6 seconds clear of Goyena in the end, who finishes second, and will start on the front row still and potentially be able to get back on Rio in the 600. But excellent work there from Rio, Goyena, and Boomin on the podium.
All right, so we now have confirmed you all of basically the starting lineup for the Split A race this Friday at 7 a.m. JST. Hoshizano Rio, of course, takes the checkered flag for the qualification race and will start on pole position in the Split A race. Daniel Goyena will start in the front row, possibly on the best place on the grid to take the lead away for Sara Pecora. We'll have to wait and see next Friday. Tawan Bumin again remains the best EN class car in third place for Fuawa Bisgard. Elson Tyron continues his great form into Fuji Speedway with a fourth place for Nekomata Akayu, while Makashu runs out the top 5 for Tsunamaki Watame. Meanwhile, Sami Ake had tried his best to get himself into the top 5, but he will start on row 3 as the defending JP CO Series champion. I believe so. And then we got Takeda Adachi for Ninamai Enarns. He will be starting in 7th. Maverick UCM in A for Marapolka. Joshizahi 9th place for Hakui Koiri with great proud 10th place for Mokoko Bisgard. He will be the 10th place driver starting on row 5. On row 6, it will be Javier Luisby for Vesha Zeta, and Raymar Gonzalez have done a pretty decent climb for 16 to 12 in 6 laps. So it's pretty much kudos to him. And then joining him joining the rest of the field in row 7, it will be Hanari Miyuki, who starts 13th for Kobo Kanaero with Jay Skinsai 14th for Takani Lui, and the last driver who finishes on strike, Yukihara Toka, and Yukihara Lobby will have a pretty hard time starting from 15th on the grid. They will be joined by Raja Kaczynski, who has an unfortunate car reliability issue for Raja Kaczynski, as he will be looking to start from last place on the grid in Split A. Alright, so as we're about to conclude the proceedings for Split A, what are the takeaways from this race?
The main takeaway is that there is a lot more action that can happen within 6 laps than what you would initially expect. It's can be quite a fast, frenetic sprint, I suppose you could say. But at the same time, it seems that the driver that gets out into the lead is going to have a much, much better time of things compared to the drivers behind. As you can see, Rio was way faster than everyone else by about a second a lap on average.
Well, that just shows you how much of a slap bang of the setup there that Rio has. So, Riba, Noche, what are your thoughts of the Split A race so far?
Well, we've just been shown the power of the Nikirium, you could say, because he definitely they should check him for some sort of doping. He probably was filled with Nikirium during this qualifying. No, sprint race, sorry. But I believe that Danilo Goyena has the chance to jump back into action in the following race. And I really hope that Kaczynski can make up for his engine failure, because it's possibly it's just the most gutting feeling that can happen in motorsport. Just you can't do anything about it. It just fails.
Yeah, it's one of those things that when it happens, it happens. But enough dwelling from the Split A race. That's been essentially a done and dusted moment. So let's move on into the introduction for Split B. Next up, our 18 cars that will be running here. Split B will feature 15 full-time entrants who will be racing for as basically points paying entrants. They will be joined by 3 guests, namely Lexi Bowen for Shirogane Noel, Sami Ake, who had run in the Split A race, Split A qualification races, will also run in Split B, the full qualification races and the main race. But as we will mention later, they will be joined by Joshua Azurit and Maury Calliope, the World CO champion from last season. So basically, these 3 guest entries are allowed to enter in other splits, but they will not be eligible for points. So wherever Lexi B, Sami Ake, and Joshua Azurit finish in the main race coming up later on Friday, they will not be given any point position, and any point position that they will be earning will be bumped up. They will be excluded from the points results, and basically the other finishers on the full-time list will be getting the points instead. So this will be a change that we'll need to highlight later as we're about to introduce the full-time entrants here. So Matthias Zacharias for Crazy Ollie and Denivis for Irene 15 will be the ID class cars for the Split B races. They will be joined by Jay Goodwin for Okami Mio, who of course is the Formula Hololive champion, Formula Hololive Japan champion from last year, but that's not relevant right now. These three will be, or six, will be joined by drivers who will be entering in Fuji for the first time in Fest capacity. Alex Grant for Cecilia Immergreen will make his Fuji debut, well, Fest and Fuji debut. And then joining him will be Isakaiji Mikolev for Sakura Miko, Hofumi for Tokino Sora, and Rasen Kurashio from Lapless Darkness. Kamine Riba will also be in the stead for Shishira Botan. And joining Alex Grant is Yuta Asano from Gigi Murin for what should be potentially an auto-fister battle. Aqua Zuri for Ozora Subaru will also look to try to spice things up here in Fuji Speedway. She will be joined by Koirika Mendes as well for Takanashi Chiara. And the other two of the Justice members, Evelyn Kuromi and Enzio Ferrari, will try to make things work as the 2025 International Champion and the World Zako Champion respectively. Now, I would like to say this, while Inugami Karane is not going to enter into the Stage 2 of the Fest, we decided to enter Austin Wizard and Onigami Karane anyway for points purposes, as this is also a battle for Hala Proto Supremacy and CEO Series qualification. And riding out the 18-car field for Split B, Momoshaki Reza for Momo Suzunene. So, anyways, as we're about to start Split B, what are the current consensus heading into basically this obviously very stacked split?
I hope I win even though I don't have any points given to me.
Well, it's basically, well, we all want results to come our way. So anyways, we have our qualifying session for Split B now kicking off with Kamina Riba finally out on track. What are your thoughts?
Since my thoughts always go the wrong way, meaning that what I expect never happens or anything like that, I usually don't expect much, but I'm just hoping that me or my gen mates can actually get a good result out of this quali and the following race.
Alright, I just wanted to also point out the fact here, in the Split B, in the Split A race, obviously it hadn't gone the way as intended. Of course, Yukara Toka will be starting in 15th. Lucien, I believe, is not in the mid-pack. But how about the Gen 5's prospects? Obviously, they've got some very talented entrants. Of course, we got our SSRB mates, and then we got Shaki Freza, obviously representing Energies Colors. So what are the outlooks? So what's basically the outlook heading into Split B?
As I told you, I'd rather leave this war to Lexi because I just enjoy the racing for what it is. I told you what I think. I don't have that much preference, honestly. I just like racing. That's all.
Well, basically spot on. So Lexi B, what are your thoughts about the Gen 5 drivers who are coming into this qualifying session?
I think just looking throughout all of the drives you've got such a wide range of different generations and from the different branches of Hololive, but it's hard to really gauge who is actually going to perform and whether gen mates will actually provide some assistance, particularly in this qualifying session with any sort of system. But you would think that with such a short qualifying session of only 7 minutes, it's really everyone all for themselves.
Exactly. Basically, to each our own, as that is the motto that we are going to have to carry until to the graves. Essentially, and also I just wanted to highlight the part about the guest entrants here. 3 of them to be precise. Sami Ake, who basically entered once again into the Split B qualifying. Obviously, he has an advantage compared to all of the others who had not run here in this type of condition before. What do you think? I mean, you don't run the same qualifying event twice, not in its exact likeness and all that. But obviously, with the amount of experience, there should be an advantage, right?
definitely. I mean, it will provide definitely a little bit of a pace boost, knowing what the conditions are like and what to expect for Samiake, and we'll hopefully see that as he comes onto his flying lap now.
Alright, so we're looking into Samiake coming into turn 1. We already seen how the onboards work. It basically has been braking at around just about before the 100-meter mark into turn 1. It looks to me it's a pretty tidy first lap, as we are now seeing the first, our representative lap time. Team Kamen Rider with a 132.279. Aqua Azuri has just qualified a 132.598. Obviously, it's not the end of the world, as the fastest time might actually be ranging at a 131. And there's still also a 6-lap invitational, well, sorry, the 6-lap qualification race coming up. So anyways, back into Right Kamen Rider, who's now setting at 26.903, already 8 tenths down on the first sector. So I don't think he should be able to get anywhere higher than 5th. So we'll see how the other drivers fare on.
Looking now at what Kokumi is doing as we come down now in towards the Dunlop chicane, looking to try and beat a 57 flat through the middle sector. It comes up to the split, and it's a long way down. It's 2 seconds down, and it seems a lot of drivers are struggling for pace here, seeing a lot of 33s and 34s. Currently, Dan Evans out front is running away with things, as we even see a little bit of fighting in turn 1 with Shaka Redza.
Yeah, facing off against Lexi here, and it just so happens to basically start her lap. So given that there was a slight bit of disruption, I don't think that she might be able to get a lot of time. But you can see here, actually she might actually try to fight back, but I don't think this is actually a good idea. But at the very least, this is only an invitational race, so she can absolutely use this as an opportunity, as a to scout the conditions and all that stuff, even if you're not going to be starting where you want to be.
It seems to be more that I am sabotaging the split rather than participating in it.
Well, as a guess, of course, that is basically the nature of it. Again, Lexi B just showing very insane pace, already making the pass on to Shakib Reza. We'll see how Lexi handles the basically second sector, and obviously with the battle with Shakib, obviously she's not going to be a favorite to start any further than, I don't know, the top 10 and all that stuff. But speaking of which, looking into the other guest entrance here, Joshua Azurid, we aren't seeing him anywhere. Just wanted to check where he is, because I am not seeing him right now. Oh yeah, he basically hasn't done his lap yet, so let's focus on him for the time being.
And we'll see now that Ferrari has put himself into 4th place, making it now a second row of cats. And
actually a second row of Italians too. I feel like we should also add that in the
more or less, yeah.
And so anyways,
what a shame.
Ooh, 2 tenths behind. Dan Evans there on after 2 sectors. Joshua Zur is looking very strong here, carrying the momentum as a 2025 World CO champion. Can the defending champion do something?
Very tight here. We'll come around the final corner at Panasonic. Gets a little bit loose, but seems to be pushing quite hard. I reckon this could be good enough for the front row, if not the start. We saw second position was the position to start in from the last race, but Azura will come up to the line, and it's going to be second, 1/10 behind Dan Evans.
Oh my goodness, that just shows you how competitive basically the field is right now, and we're coming into the final seconds of qualifying with all 18 cars already clocked in for the grid. This is some interesting grid here that we're going to be talking about. The 2025 World CEO champion starting in 2nd, the World Zaco champion starting in 5th, and here's the funny part. The international champion from last year will be starting from 17th place. As one of the points, was one of those drivers who will be looking to score points. This is a big shock.
Hey, at least they're not 18th.
Of course they do. But anyways, Joshua Zurit looking to make his mark, or rather just leave his mark as the defending international champion. We'll see how it goes for him. And also looking into the basically the second row of the grid, Kamen Rider starting in 4th. What do you think?
I think it could be better, but it's good.
All right, so again, I just wanted to point out that from the starts that we saw in Fuji Speedway, starting in second is actually the preferred position where you need to start, because you actually can have a decent start alongside the ones who start on pole position. The traction is still there as well, and also I just want to point out that you can also have a great chance to go alongside, because the run into turn 1 isn't really a long one. So again, what are your thoughts about Joshua Zurich trying to just swing by for a move into turn 1 on lap 1?
It's absolutely going to happen. He just needs to get the start right, much like Rio did in the last race, and he should be able to get the move up the inside into turn 1 on Dan Evans.
All right. With that out of the way, we'll now finally get into the starting lineup here for the Split B qualification race here in the Riding on Dream 600 and Fuji qualification races and all that. So, congratulations, of course, to Dan Evans, who will be starting on pole position for Irani EO15, our first ID class pole position, although not in an official capacity yet. He will be joined by the 2025 World CO Champion Joshua Zurich from Mori Calliope, who's hungry to get a result for the basically the deadbeats. Rustin Kurashi, who's absolutely ripping it in Hololive GT3 right now, will start third as the highest JP class car for Laplace Darkness, and then joining him will be Shishiro Botan's Kaminari Riba. Enzo Ferrari will start 5th for Rara Patera as the World Zacco Champion heading into the 2026 season. Makes it in Italian 4-5. Koy Ricamendes starting 6th for Takanashi Kiara. 7th place going to Momo Suzunene and Momo Shakib Reza. And joining Shakib Reza on row 4 will be Ozoro Subaru's Aqua Azuri. 9th place, Hyuta Sano for Gigi Murin. Alongside him will be Osne Wizard for Inagami Korone. Korone, of course, will not be participating in the 7th Fest, but of course, Wizard will be here to get the results nonetheless. And then we got Hofumi for Tokinosora in 11th place. 12th place goes to the other side of Otto Fister, Cecilia Immergreen and Alex Grant. And then on row in 13th place, in car number 13, Matias Zagares for Crazy Oli. Alongside him will be one of the Split B guest entrants, Sami Ake for Shirakawa Fubuki. Of course, Joshua Zuri is also a guest entrant in this race. And then in 15th will be Sakura Miko in Isakaji Mikalev, and he will be joined by Jake Goodwin and Okami Mio. And then in 17th place, the last of the points runners right now, ERB and Evelyn Kuromi. And then last on the grid is, of course, the last of the 3 guest entrants, Lexi Bowen and Shirogane Noel. So, with that out of the way, the start beckons for these 18 cars. Apart from Joshua Zuri potentially thinking of a move into turn 1, what are the other expectations into this race?
Given that we saw in race 1 the mechanical failure, like we could very well see another Mechachrome moment influence these drivers, but we shall have to wait and see.
All right, so
I hope that there can be some decent racing towards the mid of the race and the ending and the start. Basically, good racing all around. And I like qualifications, but to shuffle it up in the race, which is a secondary qualification, that's even more fun.
Well, we're just gonna have to see how it goes here, as the Split B cars are raring to go here in the Split B qualification race of the Riding on Dreams 600 at Fuji Speedway Split B qualification race. Well, obviously I've said that twice. But anyways, it's Dan Evans ready to rip things up from pole position, but watch out for Joshua Zuri on the front row as the Split B qualification race gets underway for the ROD 600, and we are off for another of the 6-lap races coming up. And to no surprise, and actually it is a kind of a surprise, watch out for Joshua Zuri though, as Dan Evans actually has a way better start. Oh, wait, where did Joshua Zuri come from? He absolutely challenged Dan Evans right at the end, but it's not going to be enough. Dan Evans stays in the lead, but Joshua Zuri is starting to go down the inside. Kaminari Riba has a very great start here. He's now up into 3rd place. Koy Ricamendes also has a pretty great start. Rustin Kurashi and Enzo Ferrari trying to drop down a few positions, as it's going to be Evans, Azuri, Riba, Mendes, and Kurashi in the top 5. Ferrari in 6th, Shakib Reza in 7th, Asano in 8th, Azuri drops down to 9th, and Wizard stays 10th.
That was a very, very sluggish start from Azura. Got a lot of wheel spin off the line, and that really compromised any attempts they could make at going at Dan Evans into turn 1. They still tried it, but just could not get up alongside enough. As speaking of alongside, we have Semeake going side by side here with Mikolev, and I think Mikolev will be able to hold on to this on the inside here, but still side by side as we come out of Dunlop and into the 13th, but looks like Arcade's just going to have to hold behind.
And it's a very great maneuver there from Semeake, using that clearance from split 8 to good use, despite starting where he is right now. Well, looking into the dominance of Dan Evans right now, who has started on pole, but is now staying in the lead right now. It's not as big of a gap as we saw with Rio and Goyena. Of course, Goyena was the one who started on pole, and it was Hoshizano Rio that started in second. Azurit, meanwhile, is actually keeping tabs, though, of Evans as we speak into turn 1. And I think Azurit might just be able to take it in the final stages of this race, but we'll have to wait and see.
Because yeah, it does seem like Azurit has some decent pace over Evans, but it's still not quite there. It still will take time, as you said.
And speaking of time, though, Azurit might not have a lot of time. There's only like less than 5 laps here in Fuji Speedway for any moves to be done. And right now, Azuri is trying to see if she can make moves against Yuta Asano. Of course, looking into the progress start, she did lose 1 position from the start. Rosa Garage has pretty much bogged down his start, and that is why he's now down in 5th. Koi Recommenders had a stalking start there, has now moved up into 4th place. So basically, in these cold conditions, just managing your tire temperatures is basically the #1 priority here. As we see here, Evans and Azurit still only separate by 0.7 of a second.
Seeing that Evans and Azura are on another playing field compared to the rest of them. Reba cannot really keep up with Azura at the moment, but if these two start fighting, you would expect Reba to come close. But Mendez as well is closing in on the back of Reba. Is only 2/10 behind as we see Dan Evans sets the fast up at 31. So it looks like we have Mendez going to the inside. It's good tight as we come into turn 1. Mendez has the overlap, has the advantage going into the corner. It looks like Reba's going to try and hold on the outside. It's going to be very, very tight as we come now into Coca-Cola at turn 3. Reba now with the inside line, but we've seen drivers that can hold it on the outside. They're still going side by side as we run into 100R. This is excellent racing between these two, and they're still going to be side by side as we run into the hairpin with Reba still on the inside, and they still go side by side on the exit. Mendez seems to have gotten a better run on the outside, and now to the inside has managed to get ahead, but for how much longer? Reba is looking for an avenue into Dunlop, but won't get there. So an excellent exchange.
Oh my goodness! 2/3 of the entire lap had been dictated by Mendez and Reba still going side by side. Reba had to concede. Koirika Mendez had that balls of steel and that basically the fire inside his heart. Absolutely huge amount of conviction from Koirika Mendez. Reba will have to see if he can respond with another move.
It doesn't seem like so, as the pace is actually dropping a bit, it seems. As is Azurit's pace, so possibly it might be an Australian win here in Fuji, but it's not. It's a provisional win. It would be more correct to say.
Potential 3-wide action into turn 1. Watch out for Enzio Ferrari down the inside. Russell Karacho gets shuffled up on the outside. Shaki Reza will now try to challenge the Laplace Darkness car into submission as the Nenechi driver will now see if he can make himself into 6th place, but unfortunately Karachi has got that blocked. Again, we now see some few changes from the progress charts. Koirika Mendez 3 positions gained, and that 3rd overtake, chef's kiss. Great stuff from Corey Rico as he looked to secure a spot on the 2nd row.
Fantastic exchange that we saw between Mendez and River, and it looks like Mendez is now taking authority over that 3rd place starting position for the main race for Split B. As we look back now at Asano and Azuri looking very, very tight indeed as we run through the positions into towards the 13th and into 14th nets.
And speaking of which, looking into the back of the field, looks to me that there might not be any engine failures coming into these drivers. Looks like everyone will just be continuing on as usual. Looking at the back of the field, Jake Goodwin and Lexi Bowen, two Aussies, occupying row 9 as it stands. Dan Evans continues his charge. It's not as big as what Hoshizuna Rio had done in the Split A qualification race, but it's still a very solid run from Evans to start where he is right now. Again, he's actually looking to buck that trend though. He actually has a good start compared to Azurit, and of course he's staying in the lead right now and looking at it like he is the favorite to start on pole position in the Split B race coming up on this Friday. And also, just wanted to point out about the drivers at the back. Sami Ake down in 16, just having to occupy some space at the back. Romy, meanwhile, has actually gained a decent amount of position. She's now in 15th place. So again, we talk about damage limitations. What will be the top option for Evelyn?
We're going to just be trying to gain whatever position she can for the Murray. Of course, the main race will be a lot longer, will involve a bit more in the way of strategy, so it's not just trying to make overtakes on the track where you can, but yeah, definitely compromising, starting as far back as she did.
Yeah, speaking of which, we are about to start the final lap of the race soon. Dan Evans have crossed basically turn 16 to start the final lap of the Split B qualification race of the Riding on Dream 600 at Fuji Speedway. Again, it's a great showing from Dan Evans on pole position. Had a great run into turn 1 compared to Azurit. Azurit will see if he can have a better start in the main race coming up. He can't just settle for second. He knows that he's got a chance to make things work from second on the grid. Corey Mendes is looking to be a favorite into the first part of the second row. And on the other side, Kamei Riba looking to stay in fourth as we now see more battles here. Alex Grant gets shuffled down against Isagaijin Mikolev, who's now moving up into 13th place.
This is
Very tight. It's nearly contact between Mikolev and Grant as they exit Coca-Cola. It was super close to Mikolev going off the track, but managed to rejoin just ahead of Grant.
And looking into the rest of the field here, Enzo Ferrari in 5th, still making it an Italian 4-5. Looking into the progress chart, the biggest gainers, of course, Corey Mendes. Hats off to him. Started 6th in this qualifying race and looking to finish it off with a 3rd place. You don't see a better run than that, but obviously hats off to Dan Evans as well, who's about to exit the final corner and is about to cross the checkered flag as the driver who wins the Split B qualification race. Dan Evans and Irene 15 will start on pole position for the Riding on 3600 at Fuji Speedway, and we're seeing a last lap pass at the back. Dan Evans takes the pole for Split B as Bowen and Ake have a great exchange at the final corner. Let's see how it goes. It's going to be pretty close there. Sami Ake just has the straight line speed, but it's not going to be enough. And it looks to me that the results have been confirmed. Ooh, what a race that was. But anyways, let's highlight the race results right now. So Dan Evans takes the checkered flag for Irene 15. He will be starting on pole position in the Split B Riding on Dreams 600 at Fuji Split B race. Joining him on the front row will be Joshua Zurit for Mori Calliope. And in 3rd place, Korika Mendes will start 3rd for Takana Shikara. Kamei Riba makes it 4th for Shishiran. And Enzo Ferrari 6th for the Panther, Rara Pantera with the God Eyes. Masek Ratio, the current Hololive GT3 championship leader, will start 6th for Laplace Darkness, with Shaki Reza starting 7th for Momosu Zunene. Yutasano had a great run in 8th place for Gigi Murin, and on row 5 it will be Aqua Zuri for Ozuras Baru, with Ozne Wizard 10th place for Inugami Korone. Hofumi in 11th place for Tokino Sora, with Matthias Zacharias 12th for Kreiji Oli. 13th place Isakaji Mikolev for Sakura Miko, and then alongside him will be Alex Grant 14th for Cecilia Immigreen. Evelyn Cromie has done a pretty decent comeback from 17 into 15th place. Lexi Bowen as well had a decent comeback from last on the grid, just gaining 2 spots, but it's basically the incremental results that matter. Sami Aki and Jay Goodwin, 2 of the Wolves and Foxes in Hololive right now. We'll start in the final row of the grid, row 9. Sami Aki starting 17th for Fubuki and Jake Goodwin 18th for Okami Mio. And so, what are your thoughts heading into after the Split B race?
I think it was a pretty decent race. All the drivers have been all the drivers have done their job very well, and it was honestly way more hectic and interesting than the first one. There's still been a show of dominance, but the field at the back having their races where some of the best action has Rico and Riba with Ake and Boyan at the end. Those were some very good battles.
Agreed. Lexi.
Yes, no, we saw a lot more battling going on throughout the whole circuit, I felt. We've had a lot more battles that lasted for up to 10 corners. Like, we had battles that went from the main straight all the way through to Dunlop, and we saw right at the end there the battle between myself and Ake going side by side around Panasonic, and Ake with the straight line speed, me with the run out of the corner. It's super enthralling.
Oh well, that basically speaks for itself. So let's introduce ourselves to our next split, who will be running the races. So, introducing the Split C field, who instead of Saturday they will be racing on Saturday. Instead of racing on Friday, they will be racing on Saturday for the main races. Here's the entry for Split C. Aquazuri will be joining up once again for the Split C field after racing in Split B. Aquazuri will hope to get some decent amount of track time in the Split C races here to get some needed information for the Split B races coming up as the guest entrant representing Ozora Subaru. And that will be the only split, there will be the only guest entrant in this split, as Aquazuri will be joining 16 other full-time drivers, namely Ryan Kagawa for Pavolia Rene, Chaka Labrador for Natsuri Matsuri, Lexi Bowen for Shirogane Noel, and Misaki Sakura for ASCII. Ed Sky joins in as well for Kazama Iroha, and here comes the first of the device class entrants, So Byung-eun representing Kogani Nico, and then back to the Orca, Hanami Kiriko for Himamori Luna, obviously wanting to make things work for the princess. And then we got a few of the other Ligier entries from the device class entrants. Rudy representing Mizumiyasu, Ali J representing Kikira Ravivi. And then back to the Orcas with the ID class driver Aziz Mwasef for Ayunda Risu. And then back to the other two Flow entrants from the device class, Dak Patterson for Isaki Riona and Ri Liu for Rindo Chihaya. And then running out the field here will be our remaining 4 Orca entrants. Irene Nakamura for Akai Hato. Hachima is also not scheduled to run in the fest proper, but for purposes of points and competition, Irene Nakamura is still entering for Hachima in this regard. And joining the rest of the field will be Irene for Hakos Bales, Sven Jensen for Iris, and Hazik Yazid for Shiori Novella. So, with basically the Split C field coming in, obviously it's not as stacked as a Split A and B, but it's still going to be an interesting split nonetheless. I wonder which one of these entrants will catch your eye. I just wanted to double check here as we're about to start the qualifying session. So, the big question is, which one of these entries will be garnering the most interest? As obviously my eyes will be on Hanami Kiriko, who just missed out on the 2025 JP Zako title by a few points to Misaki Sakura. Obviously, it was a big shame that she wasn't able to get the result she wanted for the princess. And also, we got some decent viewers coming in. Hope you are enjoying the stream tonight or today. Obviously, we're already started the qualification process for Split B, as we're about to find out who starts where in Split C. So, anyways, back to Hanami Kiriko. There's a decent amount of hope here as one of the Blue Knights in the competition. We'll see how far Hanami Kiriko can go in this race. But for the others, well, we're gonna have to ask our other mates in the booth.
Looking along with Seo Byung-yun, who is one of the Ligiers in this split. It's going to be interesting to see where those Ligiers end up. Of course, the class is slightly different, but it could create some intrigue as we run into the qualification races.
And Ripa, I wonder which one of these entrants has basically caught your eye.
I'm definitely gonna keep my eye on the Ligier as well, because being the Devis, the Full Glow, the new entries, they are just a fresh start, let's say, or a breath of fresh air. And it's not the Orekas anymore. It's a new spec type. It's a new aero pack. It'll be interesting to see how they blend together.
Yep, exactly. Obviously, the Ligiers have been pretty much underwhelming from the last season, but they have been given buffs and a better balance of performance here, as we now see one of the standard representatives, Dak Patterson, in the Saki Ryota number 68, already ready to start his lap. Let's see how Dak fares coming into this lap here, and coming into the Coca-Cola corner. He brakes just at about the 50-meter mark and hooks the car up very well as one of the cars, to basically start the lap. Now, basically, looks to me it's a very competitive lap from him, because if we're looking into some of the other benchmark times, it's a 58.503 for Hanami Kiriko. Let's see how Dak Patterson fares.
See, as we run up towards the Dunlop chicane, he does have a little bit of traffic ahead of him, so this could slow him down a little bit, but we'll see what it compares like. He's coming up to the split now, and it's a 57.9, so
it's actually pretty solid. If we compare it to previous lap times here, 57 is actually very good there after two sectors. But of course, Hanami Kiriko is only setting at 133, so it's not like she will be coming up into the top 10. But Seo Byung-eun, 131.317 in that Ligier. Could this mean that it can be a pretty solid Ligier show coming up?
As Dak Patterson comes up to the line, does have a bit of a slipstream, but comes up and it's a 32 flat, so it does seem like the balance of performance is pretty even amongst them all, but we'll see what the Orikas can actually do as we look now at myself, Lexi Bowen, coming up through the final corner. Can I start in a position higher than last this time? We'll see as I come up towards the line. It doesn't look like it's going to be a fantastic lap, but we'll see as I roll up to the line. It's going to be a 32.7, so P4.
For now, but because Ed Sky has now crossed the line, 131.581, the Orikas are ready to dance with the Ligiers. Seo Byung-eun currently sits on pole position for Koga Riniko, but it's going to be the Kazamaki Roha number 16 who will be starting in second place, and it could be a position of menace. Meanwhile, Rudy will be starting in third for Misamiyasu. Airi Nakamura has placed that Hachama number 81, despite all the adversities that Hachama have experienced, and also the Hatons in general. Nakamura placing herself in fourth has got to be a decent story. And speaking of the other entrants, Sven Jensen for Iris is looking to be in fifth place. Dak Patterson in a solid sixth place. Saki Sakura as the 2025 Japan Zako champion will remain in 7th. Kagawa had done his lap and he will be starting in 8th. Labrador's 9th. Bowen ends up being in 10th. Kiriko in 11th. Wazir 12th. Ali J down in 13th. Iron 14th. Hazik Yazid 15th. Aqua Zuri with 134.085. As a guest entrant, this might not bother her too much, but damn, 15. But anyways, the last of the cars were running, as we have already confirmed that all drivers have crossed the line. Liu down in 17th. So it looks to me that it's basically equal between the two cars.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've got a Ligier on pole and a Ligier in last, so
It's
it
a bookend.
doesn't seem to matter which car you're in, really. It just seems to be like we have a fairly even playing field. It all comes down to the lap that you put down and how a car drives. I think the interesting thing is going to come down to the differences between the cars in terms of the straight line speed and the cornering.
Yeah, exactly, because based on previous testing, the Ligier should have the better advantage on the straights compared to the corners, which is where the Ligier, which is where the workers basically have their advantage. But obviously, looking into So Byung-eun, for Kogani Nico, who's absolutely going, basically having a solid run here at the moment. But of course, we have all of the other entrants here. Riba, what's your assessment?
Well, I gotta say that I'm sure that this is Alonso's private wet dream of having different cars with equal engines, as he said, equal engines for everyone. I can expect a very interesting race, and as you guys already said, a good implementation of these new Ligier engines.
So anyways, we do have all of the cars who have already crossed the line. We're just gonna wait for the last car to come into the pits to basically finish up the qualifying session here. So we are now going to go through the starting lineup here for Split C's qualification race of the Riding on Dreams 600 at Fuji Speedway. So let's go through the individual entrants one by one as we're about to start the qualification races for Split C. So congratulations to So Byung-eun and Kogani Nico for starting on pole position in the Kogani Nico number 29. The Ligiers are now starting to finally show up after a season of anonymity. And joining him will be the car number 16. It's Guy for Kazama Iroha. Mizamiyasu will start third for, with Rudy behind the wheel. And Irene Nakamura will need to make sure to lift the spirits of all the Hatons. And she's right now absolutely in a prime position to do so with 4th place for Hachama. And then we got Sven Jensen for Iris. He will be starting in 5th. And then Dak Patterson in 6th place for Isaki Riona, looking to have a decent start on that number 68. And then Misaki Sakura 7 for Aski. The JP Zako champion will need to try to do something from this part of the grid. And also joining her will be Pavolia Rene and Ryan Kagawa. Chaka Labrador starts 9th for Natsuru Matsuri with 10th place Lexi Bowen. This time, Lexi Bowen will be the one who scores points here. And Harami Kiriko in 11th place for Himamori Luna. And then we got Wasif for Ayu Narisu in 12th place. And then we got Kikirara Vivi and Ali J in 13th place. And then 14th place, Irene and Hako's Bales on row 7. Row 8 will be Aqua Azuri and Ozora Subaru. Obviously, as a guest entry, she will not be scoring any points. And joining her on row 8 will be Hazigazi and Sherry Novella. And last place on the grid will be Ryu and Isaki Riona. Alright, so with the race about to get underway, what's the general expectations going into this race?
I mean, we had expectations going into Split B that P2 would take the lead, and ultimately that didn't work out. So I really don't know what to expect from this race, but it could be very interesting, as it seems like, especially with the difference in some of the cars, we could see quite a bit take shape.
All right. So, Noche, what about you?
Well, as I've said before, also I don't expect much from races. I just expect the race.
Yeah. Again, we'll talk about that. We'll basically see how it goes in the race. And sorry if I didn't get the reference early on. But anyways, we are now about to get the race properly underway. It's going to be actually So Byung-eun, Ligier up on top, and then alongside him will be Etsky on the front row for Split C's qualification race of the Riding on Dream 600 at Fuji, and we are now off. And at Sobyang with a very great start. All of the leashes have a way better start than the Orica. It's now going to be Rudy who will be taking second place, and Edsky will now be dropping down to third. We'll see how the leashes perform in the race, as we now get to see Nakamura now take third place in a potential 3-wide action into the Coca-Cola corner. Sven Jensen has to back off. It's Sky from second to fourth. Is now trying to fight back with third place around the outside at 100R. And it's going to be Sobyang taking the lead away from Rudy. And then Sky tries to defend third place. Nakamura tries to have a great run off of the hairpin. Tries to take third place away from Sky. And looks to have the inside line at 300R. And looks to me that Nakamura should be able to take third place. Jensen now stays in 5th. Patterson in 6th. Kagawa 7th. Bowen 8th. Jay 9th. And Misaki Saka riding out of top 10.
Awful start from a lot of the Oricas, particularly further up the field. It seems like in the mid-pack the Oricas got away okay, but right at the front they just lagged behind compared to the Ligiers. And you can see we have Bjorn and Rudy all the way up front, so they're 2.5 seconds clear. So I doubt we'll see a lot of change for that top two, as we see now Patterson and Kagawa going side by side. It looks like Patterson is able to stay ahead of Kagawa for now.
And watch out though, as Lexi Bowen is now trying to dice her, trying to have her position get diced away by Ollie J. Ollie J around the outside. You can see what I mean about the Ligiers having way better straight line speed than the Oricas, and now we're seeing more side-by-side action as we now see Nakamura now trying to fight her way against Sven Jensen here. It looks to me it's a battle for 4th place. Iron drops down to 17th place. Meanwhile, Ollie J continues to her struggle against Kagawa. Looks like she will stay at the outside line into Coca-Cola corner, into 100R, as war battles now currently take shape, as Sven Jensen manages to defend his 4th place.
It does seem that the Oricas are struggling for some forms, although we see Kagawa now fighting back against Ollie J, or is that me who's actually fighting? That is actually me fighting. It's all very tight here, but it seems, yeah, you can see the straight line advantage that the Ligiers have, but the Oricas definitely able to find something in the corners that the Ligiers aren't. So it creates a very interesting battle. But I think having better straight line speed, especially at a track like Fuji Speedway, is always going to be preferred.
And speaking of which, the gap from the Ligiers who had been at around the 2-second mark is now kind of slightly shrunk here. As you mentioned, the Orcas having a poor start has absolutely costed the Orcas dearly, and it's now going to be the Ligiers who will be starting at the front row right now. Sobyang still leads over Rudy in 2nd place. Ed Sky in 3rd, Sven Jensen 4th, Nakamura in 5th. Dak Patterson stays in 6th place. But watch out though for Ollie J as her ascent continues. With the Gikara VB driver absolutely having 5 positions gained at the start. It's crazy.
Yes, as Masaki Sakura goes up the inside of myself, and I'm going to try and hold on the outside. Looks like I may be able to hold them. Now it's going to turn into the inside into Coca-Cola corner, which hasn't been the most successful area for those drives up the inside. Sakura does get a little bit loose on the outside, has that inside line. Looks like I am just going to hold on as we run into the hairpin.
And speaking of which, Sakura has compromised her run at the hairpin this time, and it looks to me that Chaka Labrador is about to try to give it a challenge there for Sakura. And watch out though, as Aziz Muazzez is also gone diced there by Aqua Azure. It's going to be a 4-way fight for the top 10 right now. Sakura is going to hang around the inside of the Dunlop chicane. And watch out though for Labradorus. Labradorus absolutely having great conviction to stick around the outside, because the outside line swiftly becomes the inside line. Chaka Labradorus now takes that 10th place.
Interesting to note, the Ligiers are really starting to fall off the pace here. You can see Jay, who was right behind Cargo at the start lap, is now 1.5 seconds behind. Sky, who was about 2 seconds behind Rudy, is now only 1 second behind Rudy. It really seems that the Ligiers through the corners are really starting to struggle, as Gunyan does that fast lap, but very quickly eclipsed by Sky and Jensen.
Yeah, I mean, looking into the pace here, it could still be a toss-up between the Orcas and the Ligiers. I feel like it's something related to horse racing, by the way. We got horses that basically have an explosive start but fall off right at the end, and those who would just absolutely close in right at the end. If you do know your Uma Musume references, you know what I'm talking about.
Pyongyang is your Sakura Bakushino, whereas Ryu definitely more your gold ship at the moment.
Well, not exactly. Well, kind of. If we're talking about unpredictable entries, you're really just sticking it down in 17. But I feel like Aguazuri not having the pace to suddenly have that late race pace to be like Reischauer, but well, that's a story for another day. But anyway, as far as stayers go, Rudy is absolutely doing his best to basically stay in second place. So Byung-eun obviously doing also a good job trying to be that stayer right up into the front, into the final 2 laps here. But watch out though for the Sky and Sven Jensen. They might pull off, the closers here. I mean, you think of like your special weeks and right showers and all that.
We have the late surges in Sky and Jensen here compared to your pace chasers and front runners in Pyongyang and Rudy. We'll see Rudy sets a 31 to his personal best. It seems like the pace has stabilized across the front as they've all set very, very similar lap times. Although it seems the fastest in the top 10 right now is Labradores with a 31.4 with Bowen 3/10 behind that.
And into the final 2 laps we go. So Byung-eun and Rudy now trying to work as a tandem, it seems here, just trying to not trip over each other as Sky now tries to really close the gap. Sky absolutely going for that front row start. Remember, that front row start might decide if you can get into the lead into turn 1, as Ryan Kagawa meanwhile gets into the inside of Dak Patterson and almost gets the move done, but for now it's still going to be Dak Patterson staying in 6th. Nakamura, meanwhile, doing a good job in 5th. Ripa, how are your thoughts about Hachama so far and with Nakamura?
They seem to have found actually their rhythm and their pace. So, and they seem to be driving very well as well. They seem to be driving fairly stable as well. I don't see them sliding around too much. So, I believe that they may even keep this place if the strategy doesn't, mess them up during the race.
And into the final lap we go. So Byung-eun keeps his 1.4 second lead over Rudy, but it's become clear Sky is hungry for that second place. Sven Jensen ready to pounce against Rudy as well as we start the final lap of this race. Can Rudy hold on to that front row start?
Look how much it's congesting as in the mid-pack as we see the lap times are really starting to slow from Patterson down. You can see it's only 6, 7, 5, 1 second between all these drivers, and up the front I reckon Sky might be looking at something particularly through 100R. Through 100R, the Auric has gained so much time, so off to the exit, into the hairpin, can't get close enough, so I think Rudy might have this covered, but now Sky has to look behind to Jensen.
And absolutely, you can see here the pace difference at 100R. This is what I mean about the Orcas having great aerodynamic grip into these high-speed corners, but of course they struggle when it comes to acceleration and top speed. And now it looks to me that Sky might not have second place in the bag, but instead it will go down to the Floco drivers, So Byung-eun and Rudy trying to make their cars a roadster as they're now about to come across the line. So Byung-eun started well from pole position. Rudy started well from 3rd place, making use of Delicious' explosive acceleration at the start. It's going to be So Byung-eun who will be taking the checker flag, and he will be starting in pole position for the Split C race this Saturday at the Riding on Dreams Grand 600 at Fuji Speedway. So Byung-eun is your pole sitter, Rudy 2nd, and Sky 3rd, Jensen 4th, Nakamura 5th, Kagawa 6th, and Patterson about to cross the line, and he's just beaten by Ryan Kagawa.
It was very, very tight towards the end. That they were going side by side for a lot of that last lap, but it seems that Kagawa managed to hold off. Jay, Bowen, and Labradores will round out your top 10 there.
Alright, so let's basically give a bit of a conclusion to the Split B race, C race. So Byung-eun and Rudy make this track their roadster. or basically made their Ligiers their roadsters. As So Byung-eun takes the checkered flag here in Fuji Speedway, he will confirm his status as pole sitter for the Split C race coming up this Saturday here in Fuji Speedway for the Riding on Dream 600 at Fuji Speedway. Rudy's will start second for Mizumiya Su, making it a Flow front row, and with that, a Ligier front row. And joining these two will be Ed Sky for Iroha and Sven Jensen for Iris, making up your first of the two Orca entries for Split C. Ari Nakamura for Hachama and Ryan Kagawa make up row 3 for Hachama and Rene. And we have another two Ligiers making up a row. Row 4 to be precise. Dak Patterson will start 7th for Isaki Riona, and Ali J for Kikira Vivi will start in 8th. Lexi Bowen will start 9th for Shirogane No, while Chaka Labrador is 10th for Natsura Matsuri. And that will be a row 5. Aski will start on 11th place, and Aquazuri will start 12th as the guest entrant for Aquazuri, of course. Aziz Moaze will start 13th for Risu, with Hanami Kiriko 14th for Himamori Luna. Hazi Yazid 15th for Shiri Novella, with Iron 16th for Hako's Bells, and Riliu just not having that pace to talk about. He will start in 17th for Rindo Chihaya. So, with Split Season's race coming to a close, what are your thoughts?
I see the Chihaya closing the race in last place is fairly ironic, given that she's the only practically racer within Hololive, but given that she has a very promising car under her hands, it's not her, sorry, Leo has a promising car under his hands, there's a good chance that with the right strategy, he might climb up back to in the top 10, maybe even the top 5.
Lexi?
I think when it comes to the main races, there'll be a lot of concern for the Ligiers when it comes to their grip and their tire longevity. They're definitely having to scrub the tires a lot more to get the same speed, or at least somewhat of the same speed through the corners of the Oricas. But definitely on start and in a straight line, the Ligiers have the Oricas covered. So it could make for some very interesting racing come the main races next weekend. Of course, still have one more split to go, and we still have a few more Ligiers to come.
Well, with that out of the way, let's take a look into how Split B will look for basically our final qualification races of our final qualification race of the night or for the day, depending on your time zone. But anyways, let's introduce ourselves to our final split of the for basically our final split of the night here in Fuji Speedway. Let's introduce ourselves to Split D. No more guest entrants from this point on, but we do have some heavy hitters in this split. 16 cars vying for the pole position spot in this qualifying session. It will now go down to 16 more drivers. Joshua Zurit, the 2025 World CO champion, will race for points here in Split D, and he will be joined by Lorenzo Ricci, Hosher Marine, Jade Martinez as well for Tokiyami Toa. And yes, we have noted that it's not the Bay Day today, as it's already March. That was like a few days ago. And then we got Mohamed Shazin Reza for Koseki Biju. That will be your first 4 entrants. Vlaza Damashnev for Aki Rosenthal will be joined by Angel Sims, Anya Mefisa, who had just announced that she will be hosting her birthday concert on March the 12th. We'll see how it goes for her. Daniel Barger representing the ever-popular and ever-cute Hoshimachi Suisei, who will be looking to make a mark here after, of course, having had winning pedigree last season. Nochitayo will start where she needs to be for Kayla Kowalskia. And then joining Hinochi will be Seirin for Tomase Kanade as one of the 4 Ligiers in this split. She will be joined by Calvin Gibbons with Roboco. And the other Ligier that we want to talk about, Shango and Ichijorega. And alongside her will be Joey and Jufute Raden. Jody Pranata will be making his debut in Fuji Speedway for Hoshino Vamuna. And joining Jody Pranata will be Yuri Rafael de Oliveira representing Nerissa Ravencroft. And the last 2 cars on the field, Masaraido for Todoroki Hajime as the last of the Ligiers, and our last Orca who will be set to make a mark here in Split D, Tyler Williams for Oro Crony. And with that out of the way, we are about to start off our qualifying session. So, what are your thoughts heading into Split D?
I think we've really got to keep an eye on Joshua Zerd. Of course, Ori has that experience from making the guest appearance in Split B, and we saw how quick Josh Azurid was in the Mori Calliope number 4 car. The deadbeats will be very, very happy indeed to see Azurid racing for points here, and could expect some very good things, but it is a very, very strong split.
Now, I will want to say this though. You mentioned about the Ligiers being explosive at the start and in the acceleration zone. We might want to see the Ligiers go for it for pole position, so that the Ligiers can have a great chance. So if the Ligiers can occupy the front 4 spots, then it will be a very good chance for the Ligiers to try to defend this, to convert this into a race win. Of course, we talk about their lack of tire grip in longer stints, but this will be something that they can take. This will be something that they can use to their advantage. But of course, these Orcas should be hungry for some late race movement here. Of course, we got some great operators on these Orcas, and of course, all eyes will also be on Joshua Azurid, representing the hope of millions of deadbeats, and Mori Calliope herself. Of course, he has had wins in Mandalika in the last season's Holoproto, back when it was called Holotype, and of course, he showed in decent enough pace throughout the end of the season to basically seal him the World CO title. So yeah, all eyes should be on this Mori Calliope driver, Joshua Azurid. We'll see how he fares as he's about to start his lap. Marcin?
Yes. Oh, you want me to comment? I don't. As we're heading now, sorry, we're heading down towards the end of the outlap. I don't know the corner's name or anything. This is the last turn to the right, heading on to the main straight. One of the longest actually in all of racing, being, as you said before, we remind you, 1.5 kilometers. As the lap starts around now. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're heading towards the first corner with a Ligier offsetting.
It's pretty tight in turn 1.
Yeah, very clean. Didn't even use any of the curve actually, just to not upset the vehicle too much. Into the left-hander, no curb on entrance. Oh shit, I have to leave it to Lexio. I'm bad at this.
No, that's okay, that's okay. 25.8 for the first sector seems pretty decent there as we run into the hairpin now. This is where the Ligier should be able to show some of its prowess. Interested to see what the second sector is like, because we know how much stronger the Orica is through 100R compared to the Ligier. But coming up now to the sector split, it's a 57.6 to beat, and it's a 57.3, so this is a very, very good lap from Seirin, and even then, it's Sean Go who has the fastest lap of the moment, 31.7, so this looks like it could be very, very competitive from Seirin and the Ligiers here, as we see Bargo go into second with the Suizo car. Tayo takes the second position off of Bargo, and now coming up onto the final straight with Seirin. Azurid with a 32 flat goes third. Seirin should go to the top here. It's going to be a low 31 you would expect, and it is a 31.365.
Oh, that's a very great lap there from the Otomose Kanade driver. Obviously, she has had to deal with multiple heartbreaks in various series there, having to come down to second place. The last time she was at Fuji Speedway when she raced in Hololive DD3, but now she will now be joined by Angela Sims in second place. So there will not be any front row lockouts there from the Ligiers. Shongo is now dropped down to 4th, and Yuri Rafael de Oliveira makes this work, makes the Nerissa number 76 work for the Jailbirds. And speaking of which, for the other Ligier entry, Joe is now down in 12th. And there's also Masa Raido, who we have yet to see him complete his lap. And looking into the other cars who have...
Raido is now third.
Oh yeah, I actually wanted to double check here because I actually forgot to change the name there from Monozetaru to Tyler Williams. But we'll just try to continue running. Okay, I feel like I forgot to change the name from Zetaro to Williams. But okay. So let's just imagine the Zetaro does not exist in the stream, and is essentially replaced by Tyler Williams.
I just thought that Williams felt sick for this quali, so if Zetaro filled in.
So yeah, we are now looking into have our 16 cars already entered into this race. Now for this one, I will try to basically. I think it looks to me that every single one of these drivers have already basically crossed the line. So I'm just going to run this qualifying session as normal and have a lengthy break between the end of this qualifying session and the qualifying race, just to correct the name. So yeah, so it's gonna be Seirin who will be starting on pole position, Sims in second, Masaraido in third, Rafael de Oliveira in fourth. And remember, the left side of the grid will be Ligier's for the first 3 slots.
Yeah, it's going to alternate between Ligier and Orica for position 1 through 6. Then got the fourth for Ligier down in 13th. Callum Gibbons will round out the field in 16th. He'll be very, very, very disappointed in that. I know him very well, and he'll not be happy with himself in that Roboco car.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame there. But anyways, we are just gonna take a slight pause here in the stream. We're gonna take a slight pause here as we're gonna fix the name here. It's not actually Mono Zetaro, it's actually Tyler Williams. So you can take our time here. So yeah, you can understand the frustrations there from Gibbons here. Of course, he is a guy that prides himself with great performances all around, and of course starting where he is starting in 16th place is obviously not ideal. So anyways, we're just gonna shuffle the field here. So Noche, do you have any opinions after this qualifying session?
Well, considering this qualifying and the earlier one, I can say without
hesitation.
Yes, that these new Ligier have been in fact implemented correctly within the grid, as what matters most is in fact the driver. Now, as you see, there's some Ligier at the top, some Ligier at the bottom. That's what matters now is not the handle, but the one who handles it.
Exactly. So we are just about done with setting up the grid for this main race for this qualification race. So it will be let me check here. Seirin, who will be starting on basically the top spot of the grid. As we're about to start the final race of the final qualification race of the night, with Split D of the Riding on Dream 600 at Fuji Speedway about to get underway. So with the cars now lined up on the grid, we are going to introduce you all to the field pretty soon. And also nice job with the viewers thing. We appreciate the viewership here in this stream. So without further hesitation, we are just gonna take a look into the starting lineup here for one final time. This time it will be for Split D, and it will be Seirin who will have locked herself at the spot into pole position for Otonose Kanade, and joining her on the front row will be Angela Sims for Anya Belfissa. And then we got Masaraido and Todoroki Hajime for, basically for themselves in third place. Alongside them will be Yuri Rafael de Oliveira and Nizrisa Ravencroft. And row 3, it will be Shango. Alongside him will be Hinoshi Tayo for Kayla Kowalskia. And then 7th place, Jody Pranata for Shinavamuna, with 8th place, Mori Calliope and Joshua Zuri as the defending World CO champion. Obviously, this is not the position he's looking for, but which is why he's also kind of expect him to be gutted as well. Daniel Barger starting in 9th for Hoshimachi Suisei, with 10th place, Mama Shazin Reza for Koseki Biju. And then row 6 is Tyler Williams. This time it's actually properly called Tyler Williams. Here's the proof. And Jake Martinez starting 12th for Tokoyami Toa, who actually won once at Mount Panorama in the World Sako race. In 13th place, it will be Joey and Jufite Ridin, and joining Joey will be Lorenzo Ricci on row 7, 14th place for Hosha Marine. And the final row of the grid, Vlasa Demashnev for Aki Rosenthal and Callan Gibbons, 16th. Obviously looking to try to vindicate the positions, basically trying to vindicate his lost positions here at the moment. We'll see how Gibbons will respond in this qualification race from 16th on the grid. So, any thoughts before we start the race?
Will certainly be difficult for those starting at the back, as we've seen already, but positions can be made up and you never know what can happen out front. So far we haven't seen any accidents, but I think there's every chance we could see it. I mean, we were very, very close to seeing one in split B. My memory is not...
It's a goldfish.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah,
anyways.
We've basically seen anything today. We've seen everything from gruesome battles to engine failures to anything, so anything can happen now.
All right, so with that, without any further hesitation, we got one final race to sort out the final 16 slots of basically a Riding on Dreams 600 Fuji races coming up. This will decide the grid for the second Saturday race. 16 cars are already lined up at the starting slot here. We have, of course, Seirin on pole position, ready to take her first win in ARO competitions. Well, not exactly in ARO competition, in Holoproto for Otonose Kanade. And looking to spoil the party might be Angela Sims. We'll have to wait and see as the grid now gets lined up for the start for one final race here in the Riding on Dream 600 and Fuji Split D qualification race. Seirin is on pole position. Can Angela Sims have any response? And the answer is gonna be no once again. These Ligiers have an amazing start. And now Angela Sims gets relegated into 3rd place. It's now Seirin and Masaraido dictating the front 2 spots as the drivers basically take it easy at the first corner. And it's also going to be Sean Go taking 4th place away from Yuri Rafael de Oliveira. Johnny Bernardo stays humble in 6th place. Nick Steyer and Joshua Zuri go side by side at 100R. This is going to bunch up the field as Zuri's going to try to swing his way into 6th place, but he gets too far back as Seirin now takes the lead over Masaraido. Angela Sims in 3rd, Sean Go 4th, De Oliveira in 5th, Pranata 6th, Tayo 7th, Azurit 8th, Daniel Barger 9th, and Mohamed Reza is in 10th.
Seirin has already run away from Rido. It's 1.4 seconds clear for against the 2 Ligiers there, but once again the Ligiers have made a great start, although Go didn't have as nice of a start as 2 compatriots ahead, so potentially some signs that it is very much dependent on where you're starting. Definitely towards the front of the grid, you are going to have a lot more fun in the Ligier than you are further back.
Alright, so we are now looking into the end of this first lap. Seirin and Masaraido have now pulled a pretty decent gap. And what is this gap though? From Seirin, 2.2 seconds from the Otonose Kanade driver, and that is insane. Talk about an explosive start here. And now Masaraido is about to be under pressure, or rather it's Angela Sims applying the pressure onto Sean Go. Go tries to defend it around the inside and manages to block Sims' progression. What development we are seeing here, especially from Seirin's end.
Yeah, Go actually made the move on the straight there on Angela Sims, so it's now a 1-2-3 for the Ligiers, and it's going to be very, very difficult for the Oricas to try and break through. So we got sort of what you're wanting from the Ligiers. It's just there's only 3 instead of all 4, but meanwhile, give it failure.
That's Lorenzo Ricci with a catastrophic engine failure. The Mechachrome just gave up on him, and that will spare the back of the field drivers from starting as back as they can, because it will be Lorenzo Ricci who will be occupying the last place on the grid with a catastrophic engine failure. What a shame that has been.
It looks like Sims and Delville were going side by side. It looks like they managed to hold on for now and prevent battling too much. I think all these Oricas just need to work together a little bit here to try and close whatever distance they can on these Ligiers.
Speaking of which, we are taking a look here. The gaps are pretty decent there for all 16, well, 15 remaining drivers here. And again, after 2 laps, Seirin with an insurmountable, it seems, 4-second gap over Mazaraido. She is absolutely charging and fuming, especially if you know what happened in last week's All-Line pre-race. Seirin is out for blood with a 132, but not before Joey responded with a 132.048. And here comes Shango, ready to challenge Mazaraido for 2nd place. And into Coca-Cola corner is going to be Shango, still sticking around the outside to basically seal himself that 2nd place right now. And now Angela Sims is ready to pounce onto Mazaraido's 3rd place. Can Angela Sims disrupt the current Regloss top 3?
With some domination shown here by the Ligiers, and you can see that despite getting very, very close through 100R, it's just very, very tricky for the Oricas to get close enough or really have the momentum to really pull through by the time they get through to the hairpin. They usually get too close too soon or not close enough.
And right now we are taking a look here. Seirin's basically taking a step back there since the first 2 laps. She's already built a good lead. It's time for her to assume control of the tortoise instead of the hare. It's now just about trying to keep her wits about it in these next 3 laps as Sam's about to cross the line to start the 2nd half of this qualification race. Actually, scratch that. She's actually set the fastest lap. 1:31.6 from Seirin, but not before she'll go. Responsible with 1:31.5. But watch out though, there might be battles further back.
I think it's actually just Rider that's just very, very slow. Like, you look at the gap between Go and Rider already, it's already 2.4 seconds, so there needs to be something going on with Rider, either in terms of the setup or just the car not performing up to their standards.
Well, Rider is absolutely having some troubles. You know who's not absolutely having trouble? Tyler Williams in that number 92 Oral Crony machine, ready to mount himself into the top 10. And right now he's absolutely looking into a solid position here to get into where he is right now. But speaking of Mazaraido, he is currently under pressure. Angela Sims ready to pounce on that Todoroki Hajime number 82 to disrupt that Ligier podium lockout if it was the main race. But looking at this one, Sims is going to try to start further in this Split B race. And right now, watch it out though for Rafael de Oliveira, who is now trying to make his way into 4th.
Very, very well. So doesn't manage to take that, but does give Rider a little bit of breathing room.
Alright, I just wanted to double check here. I know you guys want some more Hololive racing coming up, but this is all the Hololive racing that we can put up for tonight or today. If you want to see more Hololive racing, please head out to our partner channel, the VTuber Racing Project. They will be hosting more races coming up. They will be racing in Fuji and Suzuka for the next rounds of the Formula Holo World Championships. So if you want to see more Hololive racing from our partners, please do drop by to their drop by to their stream as we're about to complete our end here. As we now see more side-by-side action here. Dan the Bargain from Shimachi Suisei going side-by-side with Hinochi Taiyo, and also Tyler Williams have now made his pass onto Joshua Zert as well.
They're just really struggling at this point in time. Not got the pace that they were to show in Split B, so having to really just relegate himself somewhere in the lower end of the top 10 in Hololive can. But Jasmine Redser is now looking to make a move.
And Roddy outside on his compatriot. Joshua is not exactly his compatriot, but right now he is about to go alongside his teammate. He will look to defend his 10th place. Azur's now dropped down to 11. Joey stays in 11th, 12th place, and is made to pass on to Martinez. Seirin is about to start the final lap of this race. What do you think of this dominance, Nonchen?
I think that I've been proven wrong once again, as it's been happening the whole day, because the sheer power of under the Ligier wheel have just made this, at least the qualifications, and the race will be a completely different story given the the strategy options that they have, the lack or the lack of tires, as said easily, but that is patched up with such power, makes this scenario very unfair. At least in this split, the Ligier are completely on another level. There's no stopping them now.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Lexi, you may continue.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, does seem like the characteristics of the Fuji Speedway track definitely suit Ligier a lot more with the straight line speed, especially the long straight down the main straight. But when you get to tracks with a little bit more in the way of corners, especially that mid to high speed corners, that's where the Ligier is really struggling.
Alright, so with that out of the way, if Split A and Split B have been dominated by Orcas, because that's Orca only affair, then this is gotta be a fair Ligier show, as we saw with the flow entrant of So Byung-eun in Split C, but this time it will be Saren's turn to take the spotlight. It may only just be a qualification race, but she will be enjoying this win regardless. She will start pole position. She has won the Split D race of the Riding on Dream 600 at Fuji qualification race. Shongo will make it second, make it an all Ligier front row. Rhino makes it a top 3 lockout. Angel Sims has to be the best of the Orca entrants.
Where she had put up a fight during the whole race. Sadly, she lacked the last bit of sprint to overtake Raido, but nonetheless, it was a very good effort from Sims.
Alright, with that out of the way, let's get ourselves into the way of the race results for the Split D race. That should be all of our qualification races done. Seiren has now taken the checkered flag for Otonase Kanade, with Shongo second for Ichijo Ririka, Masaraido in third for Todoroki Hajime. That will make it a top 3 for the Ligiers coming into the Split D race coming up. Angela Sims 4th for Anya Melfissa, and Uyura Fide Oliveira making an ENNID 4th and 5th. For basically the Split D race. Shinoshitayo 6 for Kyla Kowalski, and Jody Paranata 7 for the ID class cars, representing Kyla Kowalski and Yoshinobu Muna respectively. The highest of the JP class car, Daniel Bogger will start 8 for Hochimachi Suisei, and 9th place Tyler Williams will start alongside Bawashi Teresa in row 5 for the main race on Saturday. It will be basically row 5, Tyler Williams for Oro Crony, Bawashi Teresa for Koseki Biju. The defending World Series champion, Joshua Zurich, will start in 11th for Mori Calliope, with Jake Martinez 12th for Tokiyomi Toa. Joey in the other Ligier will be the odd one out, as he is not inside the top 3. He will start 13th for Jufu Teiraden. Plus Damashna 14th for Aki Rosenthal. And at the back of the field, Galen Gibbons only gains 1 position. He will be starting in 15th. We'll see if he can make a comeback drive from 15th on the grid. And then we got Lorenzo Ricci, the last of the drivers. He will be starting in last place. So with that out of the way, as we're about to close down the stream for today, what are your thoughts?
Certainly it's easy to see where the Ligiers have the advantage over the Oricas. Again, I think it will be a different story when it comes to the main races, as you have a lot more in the way of fuel, a lot more in the way of strategy that can transpire, and I think especially it's going to nullify the effects of the Ligier straight line speed, as you're going to see them struggle even more throughout the corners.
And Noche?
I believe that it will be something to be watching, because as Lexi said, there will be this big shuffle of performances, of strategies, of everything. There will be basically more or less 2 complete opposite driving styles. One which will be mostly over tire management, and one will be which will be over shorter, more aggressive sprints, being Oreca and Ligier in that order, I think.
Mm-hmm. Now, with that out of the way, that should be all of the qualification processes done for tonight or today. We now have to leave it up to the main races coming up later in about 5 to 6 days, which will be our showpiece events in ARO competitions, which will be the main races of the Riding on Dream 600 at Fuji Speedway, round 1 of the Holo Proto World, Japan, and International Series. The other way, I'd like to thank you all for tuning into these qualification races today. And before we close it off, we'd like to hand it over to, well, not exactly hand it over, but if you want to see more Hololive racing, head into the link into the comments to go to the next 2 races of the Formula Holo World Championships, where our partners, the VTuber Racing Project, will be hosting more Formula Holo racing, and this time it will be involving the individual talents instead of the representing drivers. And yeah, with that out of the way, we hope to see you in the VTRP streams, although I will not be joining in the commentary for that one, as I need to do some post-stream work. And also for the fast races coming in this Friday and Saturday, we hope to see you at that time. Split A will be racing on Friday 7 a.m. JST, and Split B will be racing on Friday 9 a.m. JST. And on for the Split C and D, they will be racing on Saturday, with Split C racing at 7 a.m. JST, and Split D will be racing at 9 a.m. JST. We hope to see you all on both of these streams coming up, or all of these streams coming up. We hope to see you again in sometime in the future. My name is Mama Shari Reza, and alongside me is Lexi Bowen and Kamina Reba in the commentary booth. We'll see you in the next stream. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you in the next race.